She drained bank account and left me drowning in debts. For 6 months, I mourned her, but then she knocked on my door with a baby in her arm. After refusing, started telling people I was gone until I showed up at my own funeral. My ex-fiancée, Natalie, disappeared one morning like it was some kind of psychological thriller. No note, no warning, no text. One day we're grocery shopping and laughing about how she forgot cucumbers again. And the next, nothing, just gone. I came home from work and her clothes were gone. Her phone number was disconnected. No messages, socials wiped, not even a single sock left in the laundry. Like she'd been erased from the world. I thought she was missing. Seriously. I called her sister, her mom, even her hairstylist. No one knew anything. Cops wouldn't do much since we weren't married and she was a grown woman. Maybe she needed space, they said. No man, people who need space don't drain the joint account and vanish without saying a word. And that's the kicker, she drained our savings. We'd been living together for almost 2 years in an apartment under my name. She contributed to bills here and there, but most of the paperwork was tied to me. I was the one with the credit score that actually worked. The lease, the cards, even the car we shared. All on me. Then the letters started. First, I thought it was some mistake. Credit bills in her name but linked to my address. Then came the real nightmare, loan defaults with my co-signature. Turns out Natalie had been taking out personal loans using my info as the co-applicant. She must have gotten access to my documents when I was dumb enough to leave my file drawer unlocked. I got slapped with $38,000 of her debt in the first 2 months after she left. I lost my job shortly after. Not because of the situation, but it definitely didn't help. You try focusing on spreadsheets when you're fielding collector calls every other hour and your credit score is doing a death spiral. One by one, the cards froze. Couldn't keep up. I sold my car just to get ahead on rent, but it didn't matter. I went bankrupt, actually filed 31, all because I trusted the wrong woman with a key to my apartment and my heart. The most insane part, she came back 6 months later. I'd finally started to scrape some stability together, working as a delivery driver, rooming with my buddy Chris, trying to rebuild. Then one night, I'm halfway through dinner and I hear a knock. I open the door and there she is, Natalie, looking different, hair shorter, skinny, kinda hollowed out, and she's holding a baby. She just stares at me like I'm supposed to say something profound. Instead, I just blurted out, where have you been? She didn't even answer that right away, just stepped forward and says, he's yours, the baby. A little boy with dark eyes and a nose that kinda did look like mine. My stomach dropped. I said, what the hell are you talking about? Natalie said his name was Asher, that he was born a few weeks after she left, that she had reasons for going, but now she was ready for us to work things out. Just like that, this woman ghosted me, tanked my credit, disappeared off the face of the earth, and now she's back with a kid and says he's mine? I laughed. I actually laughed in her face, but it wasn't funny. I asked her where she'd been. She dodged every question, said she'd been through something traumatic, but wouldn't explain what. Just kept pressing that the baby needed his father and it's time we put the past behind us. I couldn't believe the nerve on this woman. I said, you know you ruined my life, right? She just shrugged and said, you're still breathing, aren't you? I swear, I felt like I was being pranked. I asked her if she'd even considered that this might not be my child. She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic and said, I didn't sleep with anyone else. Liar. Let me tell you something about Natalie. She could lie through her teeth while looking you dead in the eye. I caught her before. Little things, hiding shopping bag, lying about work, pretending she was with friends when she was out alone. But this was on a whole new level. And the way she used that baby, this innocent kid, as some kind of tool to wedge herself back into my life, that's the part that made me sick. I told her I wanted a DNA test. She looked offended, like I just spat in her face, said, I can't believe you don't trust me, and stormed off with the baby. And that was night 1. She's been messaging me nonstop since. Says I'm cruel, that I'm abandoning my child, that I'm choosing money over family, even though she cost me everything. Every message she sends swings between guilt-tripping and demanding I step up and be a father. I haven't responded yet. I honestly don't know what to do. There's part of me that looks at that baby and wonders, what if he really is mine? But then I remember everything she put me through, everything she stole, the lies, the betrayal, the complete erasure of my existence when it suited her. And now she expects me to just take her back like nothing happened? I stayed up reading every message she sent. They kept coming paragraphs long, some begging me to forgive her, others accusing me of being heartless. One even said, do you want him to grow up thinking his dad didn't want him? Manipulation 101. She was already acting like it was settled, that we were just a little broken family on the edge of a big reunion. She even sent me a blurry photo of her and the baby on a park bench. Caption: he keeps asking for his daddy. The kid can't even talk yet. The next day, I called my buddy Chris, the guy I'd been staying with. Told him everything. He didn't hold back. Said, bro, this girl is dangerous. The fact that she just showed up like that with a baby? That ain't normal. You need to protect yourself. I agreed, but curiosity started eating at me. So I replied. Told her I'd meet for coffee, public place, daylight. She agreed instantly. That should have been my first red flag. She didn't even hesitate. Like she'd been waiting for it. We met at a cafe 2 days later. She showed up 30 minutes late. Typical. She walked in wearing this innocent act white hoodie, hair in a bun, barely any makeup, holding Asher like she was in some kind of commercial. I didn't even stand. Just watched her sit down across from me like none of this was strange. Then she says, you look tired. I said, you look real comfortable showing up after disappearing with my future. She just smiled. Then she slid a folded envelope across the table and said, it's not a test, but I figured you'd want this. Inside was a birth certificate. The father's name section? Blank. She said she didn't put my name on it out of respect. Right? Respect. Then came the big moment. She wanted me to hold the baby. I hesitated, but Asher was reaching out, little hands waving. He looked innocent, like none of this was his fault. I picked him up. He stared at me. No emotion. Just wide, weirdly focused eyes. He didn't cry, just stared for a long time. I'm not a kid person, but I've held babies before. This wasn't normal. It felt like I was holding someone else's kid pretending to be mine. I handed him back. Natalie looked disappointed. Not upset, disappointed. Then she hit me with, so we should probably move in together again. It's what he needs. I almost laughed. I asked, move in where? You think I got money for that? I don't even have a stable job thanks to you. She said, we'll figure it out. That's what couples do. I told her we weren't a couple. She frowned, looked at Asher, then said, well, you were a father, so figure that out. That was the moment I realized she wasn't there to make peace. She was playing a long game. She came back with a mission, and whether Asher's mine or not, she was determined to hook herself to me again. Over the next week, she kept popping up. Once outside my job in the parking lot. Another time she left baby stuff at Chris' apartment door. Diapers, wipes, a little stuffed fox. No, it got worse. I started getting anonymous texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Stuff like, a real man doesn't walk away. He's yours. Own up. You ruined her. You should at least raise your kid. I'm not dumb. That's Natalie or someone she put up to it. Either way, it was psychological warfare. So I asked her for the DNA test again. This time she got loud. Why do you need a test? You think I'm lying again? I said yes, I do. She stormed out of the diner we were in, left the baby behind for 3 minutes, just walked out to cool off. I was sitting there with a baby in a carrier, alone, not even knowing what formula he drank. When she came back, she was calm, like nothing happened. She said she'd agree to the DNA test, but only if I agreed to sign something first. She pulled out a paper from her purse. It was a custody agreement. She wanted shared custody of the child before confirming I was even the father. Said it would show good faith. I told her no. She started crying in the booth. Crocodile tears. Same tears she used when she lied about getting fired to cover up a Vegas trip I didn't know about 2 years ago. She said she had nowhere to go, that she was living with a friend and that things weren't safe for Asher. I asked for details. She dodged. I told her to file for government support. She scoffed and said, they don't help people like me. I said, they help single mothers all the time. Unless you're not really single. She went quiet, just stared at me like I'd figured something out, then said, this isn't how I thought you'd act. I asked what she thought I'd do. She said, I thought you'd man up. Maybe propose again. That's when I realized something huge. This wasn't about the baby. It wasn't about me. Natalie had burned every bridge she had. She was circling back to the one guy dumb enough to love her before, hoping I'd still be desperate enough to fall for the act. But it wasn't working. And then came the final twist of the week. I got a letter in the mail certified from a lawyer. She was filing for child support. Yeah, before proving paternity. Before even finishing the test. She was trying to get money now. Said in the letter that she had reasonable belief I was the father and anticipated the court would rule in her favor. It felt like a trap. A legal ambush. I called my own lawyer that night. She said, if you sign anything before that DNA test comes in, you're done. Don't even hold the kid again if you can avoid it. And now I'm stuck in this limbo. I don't know if I'm a dad. I don't know where Natalie's been or who she's working with. But I do know this. I am not falling for it again. Not this time. It happened on a Thursday night. Chris and I were home. Nothing unusual. TV on, takeout on the table, just trying to unwind. Then there was a knock at the door. Chris looked at me. Is that her again? I checked through the peephole. It wasn't just Natalie. She was standing on my porch, holding Asher in one arm, and next to her, some guy. Late 30s maybe? Tattooed forearms, tight jaw, beard like a biker. I'd never seen him before. I didn't open the door. She knocked again. I know you're home. I just want to talk. I cracked the door open a few inches. Asher was asleep in her arms. She looked wrecked. Hair frizzy. Eye bags like she hadn't slept in days. The guy beside her wasn't saying anything, just staring at the floor like he didn't want to be there. Then Natalie said the words that froze me. This is Asher's real father. I blinked. Excuse me. She nodded, then said it again louder. This is him. This is Kyle. You were right. I lied. I stepped outside, shutting the door behind me. I looked at Kyle. Is this true? He didn't answer. Just stood there. Then Natalie dropped the real bomb. He's married. He paid me to disappear. Chris opened the door a crack behind me, overhearing everything. Natalie continued. I went to him him when I found out I was pregnant. He didn't want anything to do with it. Said he'd take care of me if I kept my mouth shut. So I did, until he stopped paying. That's when Kyle finally looked up. You weren't supposed to drag me into this. Natalie snapped back. I wasn't supposed to go bankrupt either. You cut me off. What did you expect me to do? It was like watching two snakes argue about who bit first. I turned to her. So Asher's not mine? She paused. We haven't done the test yet, but yeah, he's probably not. She had the nerve to look at me like I should be comforted. I just stood there. My body went cold. Then Kyle took something from his jacket pocket, an envelope sealed. Here, she said she needed help. This is the last of it. I'm done after this. He handed it to me. Not to her, to me. I opened it. $3,000 in cash. No, just the money. I said, you giving me hush money now? He didn't even blink. Just giving her what she wanted. I don't care what you do with it. Then he turned and walked away. Didn't even say goodbye to her or look at the baby again. Just disappeared into a black pickup parked 2 blocks down. Natalie didn't cry. She watched him go with this numb stare, then muttered, he'll be back. I told her to leave. She begged me to let her stay for just one night. Said she had nowhere else to go. That the baby was sick. That she hadn't eaten all day. Chris was behind me whispering, don't you dare let that woman in. I didn't. She sat on the porch for maybe 5 minutes before walking off. No idea where she went. I kept that envelope though. It felt like evidence. Next morning, my bank account was locked. Apparently, someone had tried to access it using my old credential. My security questions had been changed. I spent 3 hours on the phone trying to fix it. They traced the IP to a public library in a neighboring town. You think that's where it stops? Nah. 2 days later, I woke up to find the word deadbeat keyed across Chris' car. And taped to my bedroom window, a photo of me holding Asher at that cafe weeks ago. Written on the back, dads don't quit. That was Natalie's handwriting. I called the cops, filed another report. Nothing they could really do except keep an eye out. Chris was livid. Said I needed to get out of town, go somewhere she didn't know how to find me. I agreed. Started packing that night. Took all my cash, burned her phone, stayed at a motel 40 minutes away just to breathe. But I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. Everywhere I went, I saw her face. Not literally, but in every parking lot, behind every gas station door, I expected her to pop out with that baby and another twisted story. And then 2 nights into hiding out, I get a voicemail. A woman's voice I didn't recognize. If you don't help Natalie, I'll make sure you lose more than just your credit score. Click. No name, number, way to trace it. Chris thinks she's got someone else involved. I think she's unraveling. Or worse, planning something. After the whole envelope incident and the voicemail, I moved in with Chris's cousin Darren for a while. Natalie didn't know where he lived, at least we were sure of that. I didn't sleep right, kept checking windows. I kept imagining Asher crying in the hallway. Every bump at night felt like a footstep. Then last Friday, I got a call from Chris at 1:07 a.m. He was whispering, dude, she broke in. I sat straight up. What? She's in our apartment right now. I came back late, saw the door crack. She's in your old room. The baby's in there too. I told him to get out, call the cops. But then he said something that stopped me cold. She's not alone. There's a guy with her. Not Kyle. Bigger. He's armed. I've never moved faster. Called police, jumped in the car, sped across town. Chris was waiting outside barefoot, phone still in hand. Cops were already showing up. Natalie had forced the lock with a flathead screwdriver. Brought a man in with her, big dude, bald, scar over his mouth, real silent. When the police came in, the guy bolted out the back window, carrying a bag full of Chris's electronic. Gone. Never caught. Natalie was arrested on the spot. She didn't even try to argue. She just handed Asher over to the cops and said, please don't let him see this. Later, Chris told me something that made my skin crawl. She was talking to the guy like they were planning something. Like this was a test run. He kept asking if he would be there. I think that meant you. They were waiting for you. This wasn't just harassment anymore. This was dangerous. But now that she was in custody, I thought maybe finally it was over. Wrong. The next morning, I got a visit. At my job, a woman walked in, said her name was Leah, said she used to work with Natalie at a strip mall spa back when Natalie lived in Phoenix for a year, finding herself. Leah said Natalie ran off without paying back a $5,000 loan. Left behind more than that, left behind a whole mess of burned people. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, I came because she's doing it again. Different city, same story. I asked her what story. She pulled out her phone and showed me photos. Natalie with Kyle, Natalie with 2 other guys, one with a wedding ring, one with an ankle monitor, and Asher in all of them. Different names, different stories. In one she was Sophie, in another Raina. She rotates, uses the baby as a setup, sells the single mom story to guys with money or guilt complexes. You're probably not even the 5th. I was stunned, couldn't speak. Leah told me Natalie had been perfecting her con for years, and I was her comfort zone, her fallback, the guy she could always rope in when the others caught on. I asked why Leah came now. Because she's slipping, getting sloppy, and because she said your name last time I saw her. She said she had unfinished business with you. That's when I made the biggest mistake yet. I went to the jail. She was behind the glass, in a jumpsuit, hair messed up, bags under her eyes, but still with that look. That fake soft one. The kind that makes people feel sorry when they shouldn't. I picked up the phone. Before I could speak, she said, "You didn't die. That's all that mattered." "What?" She smiled. "I didn't want him to hurt you, but he was going to. That's why I brought him." "You brought a guy with a weapon into my friend's apartment to protect me?" She nodded, like it made perfect sense. I asked her straight, "Who is Asher's father?" She said, "It doesn't matter." I slammed the phone down. When I got back to my car, there was a note under the windshield. Just 2 words written in red marker. "Not over." I turned in all the security footage. I gave Leah's statement to the cops, but as of now, Natalie is out on bail. That same night, someone used my old PayPal account, linked to an email I hadn't touched in years, to order 3 burner phones. They shipped to a P.O. box under my name. The trap's still active. 3 weeks after she got out on bail, Natalie disappeared again. No court appearance or texts. Her phone? Dead. Her social media? Gone. She ghosted the legal system just like she ghosted me. And this time, she took Asher with her. I thought maybe she'd skip town, but I was still getting signs. Strange ones. First, it was the duffel bag. A man showed up at Chris's place while I was visiting. Short guy, middle-aged, wore a beanie in summer. Said his name was Vince. "You're the guy," he said, like I should know what that meant. I asked what he wanted. He dropped a black duffel bag on the floor and said, "She told me to give you this. Said you'd understand." The guy left before I could stop him. Just walked away like his job was done. Inside the bag, a burner phone, baby clothes, $1,200 in cash, and a folder. A thick one. I opened it. My hands were shaking. Inside were photocopies of IDs, 5 of them, all with Natalie's face. Different names: Savannah, Ray, Jen, Marie, and one as Natalie Ramirez. None of them were her real last name. Then came the real kicker. There were birth certificates. 3 of them. 3 different kids, all born within the last 6 years, all listing her as the mother. All different fathers. Asher wasn't her only mystery child. And then police reports. Old ones. Domestic disturbance calls. 2 restraining orders against her. Allegations of fraud, extortion, theft, but nothing that stuck. Everything inconclusive or victim drop charges. I felt like I was reading the case file of a career scam artist. No, a predator. But the final page? That made my stomach flip. A handwritten note on hotel stationery. Not dated. Just 4 lines. "If he's reading this, tell him I'm sorry." I couldn't stop lying. I needed someone to believe me again. I needed him to still love me. I dropped the paper. Chris stared at me from across the room. "Dude, this is a setup. You know that, right?" I nodded, but my mind was already racing. The photos, the identities, the kids. Where was Asher? I made the dumbest decision of all. I turned on the burner phone. As soon as I powered it up, a video started playing. No buttons, no lock screen, just a direct boot into one single clip. Natalie, on a couch, Asher in her lap. Her voice was shaking. "If you're watching this, it means I'm gone." Or I had to go. I didn't want to run again, but I had no choice. I tried. You know I tried. She looked at the baby like she was trying to feel something. "I don't know if he's yours, but you're the only one who ever looked at him like he was more than just a tool." She started crying. Then she looked dead into the camera and said, "They're looking for me, and they're not cops." Click. Video ended. The phone went black and powered itself off, like it was pre-programmed to do just that. I tried to turn it back on. Nothing. I went to the police again. Gave them the bag, the footage, everything. I begged them to investigate, but unless I could prove a crime, they couldn't even issue a warrant. Then 3 days later, I got a text. Not from her. From a blocked number. One line: "He's safe. Don't look." Attached was a photo. Asher, sleeping in the back seat of a car. A red blanket over him. Something scrawled on the window in soap marker. "No fathers, no failures." I showed the cops. They said unless there was proof of imminent harm, it wasn't enough. The officer was sympathetic, but his hands were tied. So I did what I never thought I would. I called Kyle, the guy Natalie said was the original father, the one who gave her the envelope. I still had his number, never deleted it. I called 3 times. No answer. Then he called back. "Where is she?" he said before I could say anything. I told him what I knew. The bag, the video, the photo of Asher. Kyle went quiet. Then he said, "She's not running from you. She's running from them." I asked, "Who the hell is them?" He said one word: "Client." I didn't get it at first. Then he explained. Natalie wasn't just conning guys romantically. She'd been working for a group that helped women disappear in exchange for information, favors, and money. He didn't know the full picture, just that she'd gotten in too deep, stopped following the rules, burned someone important. And now, she's using you to anchor herself, make herself harder to track. You're the distraction. I asked where she might be. He gave me one name, the Redwood Motel. I drove there that night. It was exactly the kind of place you think it is. Flickering sign, rooms that smelled like bleach and cigarettes. I bribed the front desk guy to tell me who had stayed there recently. Room 6, under a fake name, paid cash. I walked up to the door and knocked. No answer. I waited, then knocked again. That's when I noticed something. The door wasn't latched. It was open an inch. I pushed it slowly. The room was empty. Just one crib. Asher wasn't in it, but his blanket was, and a Polaroid taped to the wall. A new one. Asher again, alone in a room I didn't recognize. A piece of cardboard hung around his neck, scrawled in marker, "Daddy, come find me." I stared at that Polaroid for a long time. It was Asher, all right. Same little hoodie, same stuffed fox from the cafe. But behind him, I noticed something off. The wall. It had this paint pattern, blue and white, diagonal stripes. I'd seen it before. It hit me in a flash. A daycare. There was a place like that near my old apartment complex. I passed it every day for a year. I rushed over. Didn't call the cops. Didn't tell Chris. I didn't want to give Natalie time to move again. I got there just before they closed. Walked in. Told the lady at the desk I was looking for my kid. She looked confused. Then I showed her the photo. She blinked. Oh, that's Mason. I froze. Who? She repeated, Mason. We've had him here for 3 months. Nice little guy. Quiet. His mom said his name was Mason Hale. His mom. Natalie? She shook her head. No. A woman named Tamara. Works nights. Pale, short hair. Glasses. Glasses? Natalie didn't wear glasses. I asked to see her sign-in info. They wouldn't show me. I begged. I even offered money. They told me I could come back tomorrow with a custody order. So I waited outside for 3 hours, and just before 9 p.m. a small hatchback pulled up. And who got out? Not Natalie. It was another woman. Short hair. Glasses. Late 20s. Thin. Pale. She carried Asher Mason on her hip like any tired mom would. Walked up the steps. I followed. Kept my distance. Waited until she unlocked the door to her place, then approached. Hey, sorry to scare you. I just need to ask about the boy. She turned, startled. Who are you? I told her everything in 30 seconds. The whole story. Natalie. The lies. The staged break-ins. The custody claim. She stared at me for a beat, then said, I adopted him last year. Silence. She invited me in. Carefully. Asher Mason was asleep. She sat me down and showed me documents. Legal ones. Adoption paperwork from another state. Natalie wasn't the mother. She never gave birth. Tamara said she adopted Mason from a woman named Rebecca who gave him up due to addiction issues. That's all she knew. That and that some weird woman showed up a few months ago pretending to be a social worker. Said her name was Natalie Ramirez. Said she was there to check on the baby's progress. Tamara said she felt something was wrong but didn't know what to do. Then she started sending things. Toys, letters, fake birthday cards signed mommy. I blocked the address. I didn't know she was doing this to you. I left that house with my mind spinning. Natalie wasn't just a liar. She was never Asher's mother. She kidnapped someone else's adopted son, used him in cons, and kept the baby close so she could manipulate men with the fatherhood story. And I believed it. All of it. That's when I called the police. This time I gave them everything. The duffel bag, the burner phone, the letters, the daycare lead, the motel address, the photos, the video. Everything. They took it seriously this time. A week later, they tracked Natalie to a rundown house in the desert 2 counties over. She was living under a fake name again, this time Stacy Ward. She was arrested without a fight, charged with fraud, kidnapping, and obstruction. They said she had more than 1 child with her. 3.